it is an issue I like talking about because for me it is so critical for our judiciary. Because you may have full institutional independence if you don't have personal independence, an environment that enables judges and judicial officers to make decisions that they are called upon to make without fear or favor or prejudice, you will not have a credible judiciary. Our judiciary has been tested, and each time it has come out strong. Of course, the greatest test that it was put to was in 2021, when threats were made in the media by people who did not want the Constitutional Court to make the decision that they believed was correct when a former president defied the Constitutional Court. That, for me, will remain one of the most important moments in the history of our judiciary.
The president thus failed to uphold, defend, and respect the Constitution as the supreme law of the land. This failure is manifest from the substantial disregard for the remedial action taken against him by the public protector in terms of her constitutional powers. The second respect in which he failed relates to his shared Section 181(3) obligations. He was duty-bound to, but did not, assist and protect the public protector so as to ensure her independence, impartiality, dignity, and effectiveness by complying with her remedial action. He might have been following wrong legal advice based on the Western Cape High Court.
So, okay, Judge Raymond Zondo, Chief Justice, in fact, or to be specific, Chief Justice Zondo, he's very proud about what happened. The fact that they were able to get Jacob Zuma arrested, he's very proud of that, right? That was the proud moment, and he called it a test that the justice passed by flying colors. Okay, we say, okay, no problem. I'm going to take you through that process and everything and how it happened and all the stuff. We will need to talk about that. Also in the process, we will need to talk about Chief Justice Mogoeng. Phil Mbalula says that Mogoeng delivers a judgment and the judgment that was against his friend Jacob Zuma and all that stuff. And so I'm sitting here and thinking to myself, does that make him a bad person just because Raymond Zondo, just because Mogoeng delivered a judgment that was against Jacob Zuma, right? So those are the things that I'm looking at, right? Number two, I'm looking at this from this angle. I want you guys to maybe get a clear perspective. Prior to them making that judgment, they were warned that if you guys had to make the judgment that the former president goes to prison, this is what is most likely to occur as a result of that judgment. And they continued, and we saw what happened then. So I'm saying, would you rather arrest one person and destroy the whole country, or you will rather not arrest the person so that the country may be stable? What would you do? What would you do? But bear in mind, they knew exactly what was happening. They were told that this, and in fact, they do agree, just to make matters worse, they do agree that they were warned about it, but they decided out of their conscience, they decided that no, we are going to get him behind bars. Why? Because we want him to be arrested. So they got what they wanted, but at the expense of what? In the process, we know the person that also was mentioned along was President Ramaphosa, because in everything that was happening, he could have used his political power to stop it, because they were warned as to what was going to happen if they were to continue with that. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So today I want to look at things from that perspective to say, was it a good idea? Is it a moment that you could be proud of? But there's one thing as well that I know we should be proud of. The fact that we are going to subscribe, like the video, comment in the comment section below. The fact that we are going to click the notification bell, comment, share this video, watch the ads. The fact that we are going to watch this video until the end. Those are moments that we should be proud of. We should be proud of ourselves for the fact that we are going to support the channel. Well, this channel, it is, under my media company called mthondo Wethusi Media. So I will leave some banking details below. If you really want to support the channel, please make use of such. But again, let's go back and talk about this. Was it worth it? And then Judge Mogoeng delivers a judgment. Now, you will remember that Judge Mogoeng presided over, he was in charge of the justice system, right? So then you will know, Mosuguti, how judgment is made. A decision that comes from the Constitutional Court. It's a desk of number of judges. And often you know that when they arrive at the conclusion, they vote. So you'll find that 5 says nope, 6 says yes, obviously. You know what I'm saying? But then because Judge Mogoeng, he is a presiding officer, he is a chief justice, he gets to read the judgment. Even if the judgment is something that is against, but the fact that he's a chief justice, he gets to read that. So that's probably will be something that one will say, yeah, he can be excused. You know what I'm saying? Because of that. Because also, you will remember the interview that he did with JJ Tabane, right? Where he explains that in the process, he just came at the end. In the process and all the things, he wasn't there, right? He took a leave and all the stuff. So I do remember things like that. So you want to think about all the things that were said. Because Fikile Mbalula had said that ndiyayibona le chomi yakhe bahamba bonke le chomi yakhe le yamnikeza ijudgment eso, and at the same time I'm like phela it could mean that the judicial is independent, so it means that we can disagree on a factual grounds while keep our friendship, and in fact that's a higher sense of maturity, where you can disagree with your friend and you can tell your friend that you are wrong here and still keep the friendship. That's a higher sense of maturity. There's never, I don't know if there's any way you can describe it except that to say you are matured at the highest level. If you can disagree and tell a person you are wrong and tomorrow your friendship still continues. So one may also want to look at things from that perspective. But going back to the issue of Chief Justice Raymond Zondo, saying that the judicial system was tested. And the question that I wanted to ask as well was that, so at the expense of what? But there's something that is very interesting about that as well, to say that moment. Do you know that by doing so, they fell into the trap of Jacob Zuma? Now, Jacob Zuma is smart, and people underestimate Jacob Zuma. Jacob Zuma is smart. Yeah, that guy is very smart, and people underestimate him. Do you know that it was actually... guys. Okay, let's go back to this one. Do you know that when they did that, actually they fell into the hands of Jacob Zuma, right? Jacob Zuma was caught between two things, right? He had to... he needed to either tell them everything that happened there or choose a sentence. So they already understood that if you were to do this, then it will be called contempt of court. But then if you take the other one, then you will have to explain a lot of things. So Jacob Zuma chose the other option, right, which was to push him to that's a point where he's going to open a case against him. This was picked by a professor in, is it Pretoria, University of Pretoria, right? When he says, we have been outsmarted by Jacob Zuma. Or let me start afresh. That professor in the University of Pretoria says, we have been outsmarted by Jacob Zuma. We have fallen into the traps of Jacob Zuma. We were not aware. We thought by arresting him, it's actually going to help us. But we did not anticipate that if we arrest him, we will no longer be allowed to come and question him about the state capture because we have arrested him. So in other words, you fell into Jacob Zuma's traps and you fell for it and so that guy was like, hey, Jacob Zuma is smart. That professor was like, Jacob Zuma is smart. He has outsmarted everybody and made us believe that the right thing was to arrest him. Actually, that was the wrong thing. We shouldn't have arrested Jacob Zuma. Did you just hear me saying that? So I'm saying, in as much as a lot of people will be proud about it and a lot of people will take credit about taking Jacob Zuma to prison, but was it actually the right decision? Was it a decision that was beneficiary to the country? Yes, somebody will say nobody's above the constitution, but then does it make sense to arrest Osama bin Laden and then cause a world war, or rather leave Osama bin Laden? What makes sense? You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying the deeds are right, but I'm saying as a leader, you must look at this, ne? Or as a parent, you will be like, hey, my child is misbehaving. So if I continue to beat my child, that might push him to be more rebellious. So there come a time where even if your child is doing things the wrong way, but because of that, you will decide not to discipline your child on the basis of just that alone, to say, if I were to discipline this child, I will actually make him more stubborn. Let me rather not. I don't know if you are beginning to understand where I'm going. You probably do now. Was it worth it? Was it a good decision? Let me repeat. There come a time there come a time as a parent where you have a stubborn child. You decide that as much as my child is stubborn, but it is not worth it. It's not a good idea that I should punish him, right? Because me beating this child will make this child more stubborn, right? That's where that is where we say you are calculating the consequences of punishing the child, even though punishment will make sense, but does it bring out the good outcome that you are looking for? If you understand that, then you will ask this question. Was that decision a great decision? At the expense of what? The things that we saw, the malls collapsing and things spiraling out of control in this country. Was it worth it at the end of it all? That's the question that today I'm having. We may want to see certain people as heroes, but a hero should not be a person who we just look at one side and we decide you are a hero. We must look at the we must take a holistic approach and look at your decisions. I'll give this example. There was a point where in my life where we were leaders in the church, like we were in charge of the entire church, So we found a lot of people having done things the wrong way, and the punishment that we needed to inflict upon them. We looked at this and we were like, punishing these people, does it help them? First, the individual. Two, will it send a strong message to others? Three, will it nourish the church at large? We realized that no, it wasn't going to be beneficial In as much as others will applaud the decision of punishing them, but then we said the individual, it will affect them even more. So we then decided, others we just gave them grace and we warn them, but we give them grace and say, we're not going to punish you. I'm coming from that angle to say, at the expense of what? Yes, you did it. Because obviously you can. But at the expense of what?